So I'm working on a knotting project right now. I had a necklace that was straight strung with a lotus pendant on it, and I wanted to wear it as a knotted necklace. So I decided to cut it apart, and I'm going to show you how to reknot it today. So a couple things that you will need are a knotting tweezer. It is a tweezer with very, very sharp tips, so be careful, don't drop these. You'll need some thread. I'm using a number 6 nylon. It comes in different sizes. I like the nylon because you can burn it rather than glue it, and it's much more durable than the silk. It comes carded with a needle attached, and it's not a pokey needle, it's actually a wire needle, so don't be afraid. You're just going to unwind it off of this card. When it comes off the card, it does have some kinks on it. So what you can do is gently pull it to get some of those kinks up. See how nicely it's laying? That was nice and quick. So you're going to do this for the entire length, but do not pull the needle off. So usually when I get close to the top, I stop. You need some beads and clamshells. Clamshells are the findings that we're going to be putting over the knots, some jump rings, and a clasp. I'm going to show you how to knot, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to come in and ask us. Knotting is very meditative, it's very soothing, and I enjoy it a lot, and it's something I want to share with you today. So let's get started. I have this necklace here, and I wanted to update it. It is straight strung currently, and I'm going to turn it into a knotted necklace. So what I did is I cut it apart, and I'm going to have a little pile of beads that I'm going to work from. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a double knot. I'll make a loop. There's a standard knot, no tricks. And then I'm going to bring this through one more time. This is going to make the knot a little bit thicker so it doesn't fall out of the clamshell, which is what I'm going to show you next. So I'm going to trim it. Even if it unravels, it's okay. Now, if you don't want to use a lighter, you can put some glue on this knot, wait about 20-30 minutes for it to dry completely, then trim it. I don't want you to wait 20 to 30 minutes for me, so I will use a flame to burn it down. And now you have a little ball at the end of the thread. So, with the needle side of the thread, we're going to take our clamshell. The clamshell finding looks like a little Pac-Man, and so I'm going to string this into the clamshell, and the Pac-Man is going to eat the knot. Once you have it in the clamshell, you'll just gently pinch it closed with your fingers. If you want to use your chain nose plier, you can. And now we are ready. You see this hole right here? This is where we'll be using a jump ring to connect the clasp. So we'll have a really easy time finishing this. Now I'm going to knot. So the motion that we're going to use to make the knot is like stirring the pot, like this. Does that look and feel familiar? Okay, why don't you try this at home? Okay, so we'll take the thread and we'll stir the pot. We have a loop. I want you to bring the cord through the loop. And you have a really nice knot. We're going to make that knot come closer to the clamshell. And then we'll grab my little knotting tweezer. Now these are knotting tweezers, and they have a very pointy tip, and that's going to help us get the knot really close to the clamshell. Can you see that I reached through the loop, pinched where I want the first knot to land, which is underneath the clamshell, and now I'll pull the thread, and notice that I keep the thread at a 90-degree angle to the tweezer. Let me show you from my point of view. Make a loop, pull the string through, you're going to reach through this loop, pinch above the clamshell and drag the string down to tighten. I'll use my thumb to hold that knot in place while I remove the tweezers, pinch above the knot, and drag down to tighten. Let me string on some beads and I'll show you the next knot. Okay. So again, I'm going to make a loop and I bring the thread through. Pick up my tweezer, reach through the knot, pinch above the bead, and please press all your beads together so there's no space between them. Pull down to tighten. You can use your thumb to hold this knot in place while you remove the tweezer. Then you'll drag down to tighten. There is our first segment. Let me do it again. I'm going to make a loop, bring the thread through, reach down through the knot and pinch where you want the knot to land. So I'm going to pinch about 1/4 inch away, pull tight, hold the knot in place, remove the tweezer, and drag down to tighten. So string on the beads. I'm going to make my loop, pull the thread through, make a knot, reach through the knot, pinch above the bead, drag down to tighten. Use my thumb to hold that knot in place, remove the tweezer, pinch above the knot, and drag down to tighten again. If you want to be exact, you can grab a ruler and measure that out to, that's 1/4 inch. Perfect. Okay. Okay, let's cover how to end the project. These little pink beads, just ignore them. They're there as a stopper. So after you do your last segment, you're going to string on the beads, and then you'll do a knot to lock it in. Okay. And this time, we're going to put the clamshell on backwards. We're going to come through the back side and come out of the mouth. Okay. This is what I like to do. I split these little legs apart, just a tad, and we're going to make a knot land inside here. Now with a size 6 thread, a single knot will fit in there nicely. Well, if you're going to use a thinner thread, I would suggest doing a double knot like how we started. So to end it, you'll make your knot. You'll reach through your knot, and this time you're going to put the tweezer tips inside of the clamshell. You can't see it in there, but it's in there. And you're going to pull down to tighten so that the knot lands inside the clamshell. And then drag down to tighten. So then we'll take our cutter, we'll cut the thread, and again, you're welcome to use glue if you're not too comfortable cutting and burning. Burn that excess little thread off. I do want to remind you, please do not burn the knot off completely or you have to redo your project. Now you pinch these little legs together, and that through that hole is where you put a jump ring, like so, to attach your finding. I'm back. Now that I've shown you the basics of knotting, I want to show you some alternatives that I use to the clamshell ending. There are bead tips, end crimps, and just a basic knot that doesn't involve any findings. So let me show you how to do those things right now. My trusty student and sidekick Jason is going to help us by showing us some of the techniques. Hi, Jason. We're going to use the bead tip. The bead tip is a small finding similar to the clamshell in that it is used to hold the knot and attach a clasp onto it. Jason is going to do a double knot at the end of the thread. And remember, if you have a thicker thread, a single knot will do just fine. And now to string on the bead tip, you'll take the needle end of your thread and go into the mouth of the bead tip so that the bead tip will eat the knot. You have some options at this point. You can put some glue on the knot and cut the thread, or you can clip the thread and burn up to the knot with a lighter. Once you've done either of those, you can then take a chain nose plier, attach your clasp. You can put the clasp directly right onto the bead tip or a jump ring. We're going to put it directly on there. And you would use your chain nose plier to push that hook into the cup. Very simple. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is work with the end crimps. Now, end crimps are barrels or tubes that have a loop attached to it. What I like to do is take the needle side and run it through so that the end crimp sits at the very end of your thread. Be careful not to pull it all the way out. When it is at the end of your thread, you want to pull the thread so that it barely peeks out of the top of that tube portion. Very nice. Then you'll take your chain nose pliers and you'll press the middle of that tube. It's slightly indented, and you would press down, then you'd flip it over and press again. And that is going to hold that finding in place, and you can use a jump ring to attach your clasp. Thank you, trusty assistant. Remember when you're cutting your thread that because the thread is 2-ply that it wants to unravel. So you either have to put some glue on quickly and let it dry, or you can take a lighter and burn it so that the two ends stay together. Now Jason used his fingers to stop the flame. I like to blow out the flame. You can choose. He's rather daring. The last thing that I like to do is not directly onto the clasp. I do this on my bracelets I make for Jason. I really like it when there is no finding. It looks more natural and organic. So you'll take the end of your thread and string it through the clasp. Pull the tail a little bit longer. Hold the strings together, make a loop, pull the clasp through. So you can reach through the knot, pinch above the clasp, and pull down to tighten. Very nice. And to make that knot even tighter, you can hold each string and pull them apart. That'll make the knot tighter and take out any slack. Then on the short string, you would clip it, put some glue, or burn it to end, and then knot on the long one. Thank you. One of my favorite techniques for knotting with large hole beads is using 2 strings. So I have some amethyst with some nice size holes, and we're going to use 2 size 6 cords. and we chose purple and brown. And we'll take the ends of those, put them together, and do an overhand knot near the end. What I like to do is test to make sure that the bead does not fall off the knot. So Jason, please string on a bead. Push the bead firmly against the knot to see if it falls over. No, it's secure, great. So at this point you have choices. You can slide a bead tip over the knot. You can put a clamshell over the knot. You can cut the knot off and restring an end crimp, or you can tie that onto a clasp. You have 4 choices. Now you will make square knots with both threads, much like tying your shoelaces. First, right over left and pull tight, then left over right and pull tight. You'll have made 1 square knot. If you want to do both knots as right over left, it'll work out just fine. After 1 square knot, string on a bead and repeat to the end. That's it. Have fun. And I just want to say thank you to my trusty assistant. You're such a good help. Bye-bye. It's not hard. Still here with me? Then you deserve to see all of my bloopers. Here we go. Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to knot, and knotting is one of my...
One more time.
Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to knot. What? My head moved? Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, today I'm going to show you how to knot, and one of my favorite things to do with knotting is to make long necklaces that you can wear. This is not a good example, so let's start again. Because I made it short.
You want to make it long?
No. Okay.
Go ahead.
Hello, today I'm going to show you how to knot. It's a very easy thing to do, so if you can just watch me, I'm going to show you how to start it off, how to cut the thread. We're not going to cut the thread. Oh my god.
Okay.
I forgot to make a knot here. That's a very common problem. This makes a bulkier knot. Does that look okay on camera? Because it made a bad knot.
1.
Oh my god, this thing's more blooper than it is a tutorial. What's going on? So now we've covered the basics of knotting, and there's a couple of... Now we've covered the basics of knotting, and I want to cover a... Now we've covered the basics of knotting, and I want to show you some alternatives that I like to do in addition to the clamshell ending. We're going to do end. Now that I've showed you the...
You can start wording after the alternative.
Can't remember what I was saying.
Okay, start again then.
Whew.